When it comes to me, I'm going to do the complete reverse. So there's a film that I absolutely love that I just think is actually criminally underrated. And I just wanted to give it a little bit of love and just kind of tackle exactly what people were saying and why they think it's not as good as I think it is. And one thing I just wanted to preface it by saying this. Steven Spielberg, I think, we all know Steven Spielberg. We all know him. He's like one of the top film directors that people know. Even people who don't know film directors, they'll probably know who Spielberg is. But when it comes to him, I think people, and I think you probably agree, people underestimate him. Mm-hmm. They underestimate what the style of his directing, the power of his directing.
I think we very much take Spielberg for granted because he has very much informed just the language of cinema over the past few decades and how we consume cinema and like the cinematic landscape that we live in. Mm-hmm. Because, going back to like Jaws, Close Encounters, so influential. He's always been there, and I feel like people neglect to underestimate him and be like, Spielberg is just very schlocky. He's like, all he is a brand. There's nothing to him. When actually, I think he is still like, he's always been like a very interesting filmmaker. But I think he is actually one of the most like kind of varied in terms of the subject matters that he's like willing to tackle. Like, people don't realize Spielberg has dipped his toe into every genre imaginable, and he's done it so well. It's crazy, and a lot of people do not appreciate that, and they don't give him the grace.
You think of like the fucking Schindler's List, the Jurassic Park, E.T., Jaws, all of these different, the Terminal.
Munich to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Unfortunately,
it's insane. It's insane. The variation that he has, and I think it's just one of those things that happens where someone becomes so well known, people become tired of them, that they don't appreciate why he was so well known in the first place. And you compare it to someone like I have a particular amount of respect for the directors that explore different genres to that extent. Like, if you can compare him to someone like Stanley Kubrick, who basically made a masterpiece in every single genre, which is almost fucking impossible to pull off, and he did it. And you could say the same for Spielberg, man. I mean, I totally agree. And I just want to say, like, we remember all these films. We remember Jaws. We remember Jurassic Park and all that stuff. But nobody fucking talks about War of the Worlds from 2005 with Tom Cruise. People forget about it. And I just want to say, like I was saying in the other last week, that particularly horror films, like, I love the idea of horror films, but most of them fall flat to me. I think War of the Worlds, obviously it's a disaster movie, but in itself, I think it's a fantastic horror film. I mean, it's one of those films that every time I watch it, I'm always left feeling with like a deep, dark sense of dread. I think Tom Cruise in it is just brilliant. Like, he's got like a really subtle kind of humorous kind of performance but also, takes it seriously. Yeah.
Which is also interesting because I feel like Tom Cruise, similar to Spielberg, we kind of take for granted because he's Tom Cruise, isn't he?
Tom Cruise, he's just there.
We're just very used to see him either, hang off airplanes.
Yeah, he's his own fucking
just run across rooftops and like break his leg and whatnot.
He's man. I love Tom Cruise. I mean, weird with Scientology, but everything else is fucking Tom Cruise. I've always loved his performances, and I mean, even Dakota Fanning. I know a lot of people said that her performance in that film was weird. It was shit because she's just basically a whiny girl. I don't think so. I mean, look, it's a fucking disaster film, for Christ's sake.
It's a child actor as
There's
well.
There's aliens destroying the planet, and you're having a go at the fact that the little girl's screaming. Of course she's screaming. What do you expect? Anyway, sorry, I'm pretty passionate about it. So it's like, I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you like War of the Worlds? Did you enjoy it? Like, do you rewatch it a lot, or?
I haven't actually rewatched it in a while, but the times I have, I've always like been perplexed as to why it's so like lowly rated.
Okay.
And I think another aspect that people don't give enough credit to this film and to Spielberg is how he does horror. I really wish he would tip his toe into horror genre more often, because in War of the Worlds, when the probes are out there blasting people to smithereens, that is so fucking chilling.
Just that whole
sound design.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's really good.
And and it shows us, like, if Spielberg was given like a full R-rated horror, I think he would crush it.
Yeah, I agree.
He would do a great job.
It's so impressive how he can bounce across all these different genres and really, really, really give it the respect and dedication it deserves. And like, just the whole some of the scenes, some of the imagery in the film, when you see like Tom Cruise walking on the top of this mountain, it's overlooking just this absolutely demolished city that's just covered in red, and you just see his silhouette. It's so striking. It's like a noir film, and just when they go into the basement scene, when they go into that little bunker or whatever you'd call it, and they're chilling out, and you can hear all the sounds, and it's totally in the perspective of the family. We're following the family on this journey, and that's what I love so much about it, because it puts you in that perspective and makes you feel vulnerable to what's going on. It's not like this omniscient point of view where you're just seeing everything happening. You're seeing it from a particular perspective, which makes you feel like you're actually experiencing it.
And I think Spielberg has always been very good at that.
Yeah, true.
Letting the audience in.
It's like a perfect example is Saving Private Ryan with the camera work and all the jittery camera work and all that stuff. You're seeing it through the eyes of a real person.
I mean, just the camera work in Schindler's List as well.
It's insane. It's insane.
So chilling.
He's incredible, and I think he directed it brilliantly. And I know that it's based on an original film that was based on a book that was definitely more accurate to the book. But I don't care, man. It's a fucking fantastic. It's a fantastic disaster movie.
But actually, the only thing I'm gonna say as a negative is just some of the characters. His son.
Oh, what you didn't like? You thought it was
very weird character. Why was he so eager to like?
He was like, "I'm gonna go, Dad. This is my calling."
You don't.
To be.
But it's a great Tom Cruise freak out, because when Tom Cruise gets angry, it's insane to watch. But that was the only thing.
The son, we don't exactly see what happened to the son.
And I was kind of like,
True.
Okay, so that character arc was a bit like.
You could say they all have plot armor as well. But let's look at some reviews and see if they convince me otherwise. Horsman 5.
Wow, 1 out of 10.
Jesus, he reviews this straight when it came out in 2005. 1 out of 10, worst movie ever. What in the world was that? Okay, I understand the need to pay homage to H.G. Wells and everything, but let's not forget he was writing for a different audience. People actually thought Earth was getting attacked and freaked out. We are sitting in it. Yeah, that probably, in terms of the context, and like you were saying, we spoke about it before when, even in 2005, there's an interesting time.
Yeah, because, like Bush, Iraq, 9/11, the war on terror. Like, it's very interesting when you look at the context of when that film was made. And a lot of Spielberg's films at that point, because it reflects the fears of the time, just the state of the world and the state of America.
Yeah.
So that's also very interesting to consider.
The whole movie consists of them running. There is hardly anything that shows a bit of wait, can I just stop there? Can I stop there?
You got to get to the gym, lad. Come on, get to the gym.
He doesn't like running. He doesn't enjoy running. No,
man of exercise.
I don't think that every scene consists of them running. And let me just say, what the fuck would you be doing in an alien invasion?
Yes.
Would you just be standing there?
You're about to be destroyed. Let's say my house has been torn to shreds. And protect my family, right?
You'd
protect
probably
my
be
parents
running.
and whatnot. Like, am I going to be saying, well, what's the law behind these aliens? What's the context? Who are they? I wouldn't give a shit. I'm running
you'd be fucking legging
protect myself and those around me, man. Like,
then after
Houseman,
all
what
this,
do you mean?
After all this running, it just ends. They never explain what happened to the son either. True. Sure, it was somewhat nice to have a movie without the natural progression where they come, they beat the crap out of us. We figure some crazy way to beat them that has a small chance of working, but then we beat them.
Yes, but then suspension of disbelief. It's like,
but geez, develop the plot
time,
somewhat.
it's good to have realism, but this is, it's a sci-fi. It's a not. I guess it is a fable in a weird way.
If not even that, develop the characters. They jump into the attack 5 minutes into the movie. I might have gotten over it had the ending not come without warning and had been so stupid. He hasn't convinced me, Mr. Hausman. No. Complete nonsense.
No, so Hausman basically loves exposition. That's what we've got.
Exposition
he can't get enough of exposition.
Hausman has exposition for breakfast.
He wants to know why things are happening all the time.
He loves it.
Right. Oh wow! So we got Wookiee.
In order to say, what's his name? Wookiee Tribier. In order to say in one front, the effects are not bad.
Well, nice.
I actually think
the effects are very good.
I think the effects hold up pretty well.
Yeah,
to be fair.
and actually, sorry, just go off on a tangent. I think Spielberg is actually one of the few directors of that generation because I feel like some of his, like, I guess, contemporaries, or like, I mean, I know you're a big Zemeckis fan. This is a talk for another podcast, but there's been some criticism with how he's used visual effects. I actually think Spielberg is generally very good at integrating them
100%
into the story and into like the actual environment of the scene.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think he's good at that.
What was it, 20 years ago?
Yeah,
and
God,
it's still, I genuinely think it holds up because, like I said, he uses that noir kind of look to his advantage because you don't see the lighting is very cleverly constructed because you see the silhouettes of these big fucking machines, and you don't see them all at once, and it's just so intelligently designed. And even the sound, oh my god, like the sound that the machines make, that when you just see the silhouettes of them. Oh my god, it still sends shivers down my spine to this day. What's this one? Boistia 24.
Boistia 24.
Here we go. A screaming.
A bit more recent. Okay.
This is 2015, 10 years ago. A screaming, annoying, and overreacting brat. A has-been midget.
What is with the disdain for child actors? Bloody hell.
A has-been midget. Poor Tom Cruise.
Hey, excuse me, short kings over here.
Come on, mate. You can't
give us
control
some
that.
grace, okay?
Or he can wear some lift shoes. And a woefully out of control Dialante teen trying to make their way through 2 hours of a CGI festooned, badly made remake.
Excellent word.
Amazingly, as recently as only 20 years ago, these cheap directors would not have been able to take the easy way out and had to actually build the props and sets. Not so these days. Now, that's something I want to quickly talk about as well. When it comes to CGI, when things are done practically, you've got to admit that's a whole other thing, and it's astounding, and it's just so admirable to know that they went through all the detail and planning and stuff like that to create these actual practical looking things. I still believe that you can tell the difference right now. When it comes to like films like The Substance, which pays homage to like the Fly films, it's actual practical effects. That's probably the main reason why The Substance did so well, is because it's so admirable to look at the practical effects. But CG, man, I don't know what you feel about CG, but I think it's so overhated. I mean, we need a place for CG. We're just going to dispense with it? I mean, it's a tool that we use at our disposal as filmmakers.
And like any tool, it's how we use it. God, this has gone very but it's true though.
It's like we're lecturing people.
Yeah, exactly. No, listen to me. I know everything.
No, we'd totally be talking out of our arse. They are tools that we use at our disposal, and we shouldn't turn our nose up to it.
But I think it's a very easy crux for a lot of people to say, oh, the CGI was bad and it's overused. And that can be the case. But I don't think CGI is this big evil. It is all about how you are using it, how you're integrating it into the story. And as long as it's not a substitute for actual creativity,
as long as it's not just a tech demo film,
that's fine.
Yeah,
I think the problem, obviously the problems can come in when people just say, oh, well, we'll use CGI and fix it in post. And I think that's the problem that they've had. And actually, this is a very big thing, though kind of a tangent for another podcast. But with the MCU, over the past few years, there's been a lot of backlash and talk from VFX artists saying that they've been overworked and that Marvel just barely give them any time to work on it because of the demand.
Oh yeah, when Disney Plus came out. There was a lot
exactly,
of
because during COVID they wanted more content, and I find that very interesting because I guess a lot of the Marvel films, that is an example where they had this technology called the volume. I don't know if you know about that.
No.
It's used in The Mandalorian as well. It's like this big sound stage that projects the whole environment. It looks very realistic when used well. It's an incredible piece of technology, but in some of the most recent Marvel films, like the prime example, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it's really, even though they use it, to create a fantasy world, and it's not meant to look realistic, it just looks so off and really takes you out. And you can tell they haven't been given the time to work on it either.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's just an example of where your CG can sometimes, be used as a substitute for creativity, not to take away from those artists, but it's just they're not being given the time to do their work, and it's been looked at as studios and sometimes by the filmmakers as more of you can just fix it on the computer.
Yeah.
And I think that's that is a problem, but it's not
That is lazy.
CGI is not the most evil thing in the world.
It's not.
folks. Okay,
It's really
it's
not.
not.
I'm gonna actually look at like because these ones are just so ridiculous.
What have we got?
1 out of 10.
stars.
Let's look at 4 stars. Not your average alien invasion film. This guy rated it 4 out of 10 in 2005. Chaos
Sorry,
Craps.
just to stop you there, that sounds like a positive review. What is a bloodfest? Does he like that?
War of the Worlds is a bloodfest. This movie was very disappointing. Furthermore, in my opinion, it was downright disturbing in some scenes. Okay.
Personal thing.
A lot of people are comparing this to Independence Day, which I would say is a better film. Independence Day was a light-hearted movie with a feel-good feeling. It had a ton of action and was very well-rounded. Yeah, maybe that's why people don't like this film, because it's got such a dark sense of dread and doom.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about it.
But
you know,
then actually, this brings up an interesting thing. Some people who maybe didn't like this, oddly, even though it has this very dark tone, like we were saying, some people were saying, "Oh, it's Spielberg doing like a disaster movie schlockfest." When actually, I think it does it such a disservice to rank it in with Independence Day or any of the Roland Emmerich films.
yes, man.
Yeah, for context, Roland Emmerich is the guy who kind of pioneered this genre with stuff like Independence Day, Stargate, 2012. And I think War of the Worlds is like leagues above that. So when you look at something like Independence Day, fine, it's entertaining. You can enjoy it. I'm not saying you can't get enjoyment out of it, but it's just it's so schlocky, man. And when you watch something like War of the Worlds, where it shows the disaster
So much
movie can be
stronger.
done with such care,
Yeah.
it's so much better than that, man. And like 2012, have you watched that recently? Anyone?
Oh, I remember. I enjoyed 2012 when it first came
I
out.
remember back in year 3, I thought it was like an actual prediction. I thought that was like the truth.
Yeah, they were wrong about that. No, man,
Yeah.
that is such a rubbish film.
Yeah.
That fucking, like all the characters are so like. The woman, she's got like makeup. Like,
Yeah.
she looks perfectly fine, even though she's going through a whole disaster. Like the whole
she's-
world is collapsing in front of her.
Even in the apocalypse, she still looks like she stepped off the set of like a Dior cabinet. And there's one really funny line, really. I can't remember. It was just in the film, in the trailer, where the guy's like, "It's the end of the world, my friend." It's like, Jesus.
Man. I don't have so much praise for War of the Worlds. There are just too many scenes with masses of people in desperation about to be massacred.
What do you expect to be happening?
Well, honestly, I don't understand.
Aliens
what
terrorizing your planet.
There was way too much shock and awe in this film, and I question the reason for it. Was Spielberg trying to use the same technique as in Schindler's List? I tell you what, it's interesting that he brought that up, because I notice a hell of a lot of similarities. I don't know if I'm clearly not the only person who saw the similarity. Up until this point, I thought I was the only person. I wasn't even going to mention it, but I see so many similarities in Schindler's List and War of the Worlds. And the way that Schindler's List is directed, it's so shocking the way it shows just the image of people being just pushed up against walls and barging against each other. Just the sheer shock of that imagery. He directs it so well and it's so expertly done, and it triggers a real like, I don't know like a prehistoric emotion in you. Just the image of all these people, and he obviously doesn't enjoy that, like people being massacred, people in desperation. The image of that. But I think if you're depicting a disaster movie, I don't know. Again, I think it's probably very, very loosely adapted. On the book, but just the image of that, I think it's so perfect and works so well with a disaster film, because that's the purpose of it. It's supposed to trigger that emotion in you. I mean, he said it was downright disturbing. I mean, that was the purpose. I mean, you see scenes like when Dakota Fanning's character is standing like near this lake, and you see all these bodies like floating along the river, and the music, the violins, and you see like the ashes falling from the sky. It's just certain imagery in that film. It's similar to the way that he directs Schindler's List, and it's interesting that he brings that up. Fair play.
Yeah, no, that was not a connection I would have made.
Yeah, you maybe watch it again, and you might
see it, but it just goes back to how great Spielberg is.
Exactly.
He's
got so many techniques at his disposal.
Of like kind of just, I guess, world building, even though Schindler's List is obviously based in real world history. Like through the way he uses like handheld cinematography, and like you said, those shots of people in desperation. It really, I think, a lot of his work, it's a masterclass.
It is 100%.
Just in how to, in like you're presenting kind of turmoil, like societal turmoil and danger.
It's just in a way that's it just
it's
cuts
so good.
it cuts all the bullshit. There's so many techniques behind it, but I think he's such an expert masterclass director that the techniques actually go unnoticed because they're so fucking good, and they're just really good at depicting certain things. And like we said, he's got so many techniques at his disposal. I really had to turn my head in some scenes. In fact, I continually saw parents escorting their children out of the theatre. Love to see that.
No, valid. I mean, it's for a PG-13, pretty damn brutal.
It was pretty, pretty disturbing.
Yeah, valid.
Still more, there are no great scenes that stand out from the rest. No great protagonist or scenes of human race coming together to defeat the aliens. Well, that's totally wrong, because what happens at the end, what you see is very contrary to what you'd hope for. It's a very pessimistic movie, and the ending, what a letdown. So it's kind of weird, it's kind of contradiction there, because he said that he wanted a defeat to the aliens, and then he said, so that's what he wanted, and then he said that the ending was a letdown. Well, okay, that's strange. Well, you haven't convinced me, Mr. Chaos Kraz. But no, to be fair, he's, fair enough. He said some interesting points there. But yeah. Go watch fucking War of the Worlds, man. It's probably much better than you remember.
You're sleepy on War of the Worlds, guys.